financially you're going to have a big edge.
Yeah. Yeah. And George, you also had one of the things that I actually use as reference for today's questions here is the episode you did on will the housing market crash or will it continue on, as to like right now the housing market is at above where it was in 2007 as far as overinflation of it right now. And you had and you do a whiteboard kind of video. And one, I think it was like the fourth one along the way was you introduced the word hypergamy to your audience, which I think was sort of something that was maybe it's fresh to your audience, but to us, obviously, I mean, gosh, Roll Tomasi is synonymous with hypergamy, right? Can you give us just a little quick breakdown of that? Because that's going to lead us into the marriage topic that I had here. So like, what exactly were you talking about in that particular bullet point with respect to how family formation and how marriage and how hypergamy sort of affect the housing market? Because like as far as like single families buying homes right now as opposed to renting homes, as opposed to even forming families in the first place. So can you give just like a really brief rundown of what that was all about?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the housing markets, it's the economy more broadly. They've got a saying in economics that demographics equal destiny. And so if you've got an environment where women are, let's say, doing better economically, and we all know that women are going to choose a long-term boyfriend or husband based on hypergamy, meaning that they're going to date sideways and up. So if they're climbing the socioeconomic ladder, that just means that there's going to be fewer and fewer men that are acceptable to them. And like Rich says, it's not good, it's not bad, it just is. It is what it is. So that means that Pareto's distribution, if it was 20% of the guys getting 80% of the women a couple decades ago, I think over the next, this could happen quickly, 2, 3, 5 years, that's going to go to about 5% of the guys, and there's going to be a larger pool of women that are seeking those individuals. But what that also means is there's going to be a larger percentage of males that are just completely out of the picture. Like they subconsciously, they realize that they have zero chance of passing on their DNA. And I think if you get evolutional, that's where, a lot of the drive comes from. So you have a setup where you've got fewer and fewer kids being produced, being born. So you have, fewer people, which would have the opposite effect of the baby boomers. We always hear how that was a big boom for the economy because you had this huge glut of people coming into their spending years and doing all these things and driving up asset prices and driving up home prices and consuming. And if you have an economy that's 70% consumption, that's a good thing for economic growth. But now if you've got fewer and fewer and fewer children being born, that's a bad thing for now, but it's a really bad thing for 15, 20 years down the line. So but again, my point there is it's not just with housing. Those demographic issues bleed through the entire economy.
Now, Aaron, you and I have discussed I think, and I actually put this in my fourth book, is the article by Morgan Stanley, "The Rise of the She Economy."
Yeah.
And how? And are you from Aaron? What were the numbers on that? Do you remember?
I keep going up because I have so many statistics and numbers in my previous book, they blur together. Come
on.
it was something like between 18 and 50. Or 25 and 50 working age women.
I'm working age women between
4, and roughly half or 45% were going to be single and childless, or without children. So
by 2030,
by 2030, So don't quote me on those numbers, but a shockingly high percentage of women in their working age years will have never married or had children.
And so, and this is something that a company like Morgan Stanley is already predicting and using to forecast for investments for, they're at least certain enough to put out a very detailed, in fact, I think it's actually part of the blog now, what you can do to sort of like plan ahead and like, I don't know, invest in cat food and box wine or whatever it is, for the future. Now, my question is, so first question is this, is why do you think that is? Why do you think that demographic within the next, let's say 9 years is going to be that significant at this stage?
And you're asking me?
Yeah.
Because they were told, because they were told to. I've been wrestled with a human theory, like how susceptible are people to brainwashing and indoctrination? And I would say the vast majority are completely susceptible to it because I've seen it. I've just seen it. And for the longest time, young women, girls starting at 5, Lord knows even now with pre-K, and there's the book out called Feminist Baby. I know going back to 1980 when I was just a little runt, it was already there. Yes, we knew women didn't need us. Yes, we knew girls could do everything else. And that has not only maintained itself, but it's been turned up to 15, 20, 25 exponentially. And I've witnessed it. I've seen it. Young women, or maybe not so young women anymore, are responding to what they were told to do. This is right. This is what you should do. To a larger extent, you don't need a man. They would like to have one, but they don't need one. And that's, maybe they don't believe it, but they act on it. And you can see this in their actions and their behaviors. They are postponing marriage. They are postponing children. In the research for my book, I went through some polling data, and where young women and not so young women prioritize things in their life, marriage and children, depending on their age, was not in the top 3, sometimes not in the top 2 if they got a little bit older. And this just kicks family formation, children, marriage down the road. And what has been replaced with men instead, where love and husband and children, has been career and self-actualization. And I would also say politics to a large regard, or some kind of, I wouldn't call it a substitute for religion, not necessarily Christianity or Islam or Judaism or something like that, but feminism, environmentalism, making change, this existential, and a substitute for agency, where it's like, okay, your career is there, but what are you doing on the side? Well, dog rescue would be another perfect example. It kind of runs the gambit. But that's why, and they're doing what they were told. Very much like us young men, we did what we were nice guys. We did what we were told. We're just the ones that seem to be waking up right now. So that's why I think that's happening.